Nice launch trajectory and countdown net. Pad is clear.
10, 9, 8.
Launch auto sequence has
7,
started.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go for launch.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Stage separation confirmed. Dragon, separation confirmed.
Stage 1 is transonic. Landing legs have deployed. And Falcon 9 has landed.
Hello everyone, my name is Kate Tice, Senior Quality Systems Engineering Manager here at SpaceX. I'll be your host for today's Starlink mission, which marks SpaceX's 53rd launch of the year and 252nd overall mission to date. On your screen there is a live view of our Falcon 9 rocket at Space Launch Complex 40 in Florida. We're currently around T-minus 4 minutes and 38 seconds. The range is ready to support and the weather is looking good. We only have a 10% chance of violating our launch commit criteria this evening. The teams are currently tracking. They were heard the call out indicating that the strong back is retracting from the vehicle, which is the structure that holds the rocket and actually lifts it to its vertical launch position. Once they're open up fully, once those clamp arms are fully open, that strong back will begin to retract. Retracts about 2 degrees initially, and then even further whenever the rocket takes off. As I mentioned, that structure next to the vehicle, the TE or transporter erector, we use that to integrate the first stage, the second stage, and the payload fairing all together in the hangar. We use that structure to also roll it out to the launch pad and then lift it to the vertical launch position. In about 15 seconds, we should hear the call out indicating that stage 1 LOX load is complete.
Stage 1, LOX load is complete.
All right, there's our call out indicating that the first stage is fully loaded with its liquid oxygen. Falcon 9 completed its fuel loading prior to going live with the webcast this evening. For our fuel, we use rocket-grade kerosene, known as RP1. So that's fully loaded already on both the first and second stage. First stage is now fully loaded with all of its liquid oxygen, or LOX, and we're still undergoing the final load of LOX on the second stage, and we expect that to wrap in about 30 seconds. All right, still waiting for confirmation of the second stage LOX load, expecting that to wrap up any second. Now the booster...
Stage 2, LOX load is complete.
And there's that call out. Now the booster, or the first stage of the rocket that you see on screen, is flying for the 4th time today, having previously supported Crew 6, SES-03B, M-Power, and a past Starlink mission.
Ground gas closeouts.
After liftoff and stage separation, this booster is scheduled to land on our drone ship, a short fall of gravitas, which you see there on your screen. As many of you know already, successfully recovering parts of the rocket allows us to refly the most expensive parts, which in turn drives down the cost of space access. Coming up in a couple seconds, we should hear a call out indicating that
자,
Falcon 9 will
오늘은
start up.
자, 쇼트 오브 그 그래비티 지금 대기하고 있고요. 1분 남았습니다. 정말 빨리 진행되죠?
All right, that tells us the flight computers have now taken over the launch countdown.
LD, go for launch.
네, 44초.
And there's our final go for launch tonight, coming to us from our launch director, or LD. So with that, let's sit back and watch as Falcon 9 takes our 22 Starlink satellites into space.
네, 22개 위성 오늘 발사합니다. 네. 20초 남았죠?
T-minus 15 seconds to count.
네, 10초 남았습니다.
T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition.
발사! 네, 발사됐습니다. 네, 오늘 22개의 스타링크 위성 가지고 올라갑니다. 굉장히 빨리 가죠.
We're now at T plus 35 seconds. Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Space Launch
네, 큰
Complex
문제 없이
40
올라가고 있고요.
from Cape Canaveral, Florida at 11:41 p.m. Eastern Time. Next major milestone coming up.
Nominal power and telemetry.
Next major milestone is max Q, and that is when the vehicle experiences the greatest
너무
amount of
자연스럽.
external stresses.
아무 일 없이
as it
아무 생각 없이
ascends through the
발사하는 것 같아,
Earth's
진짜로.
atmosphere.
Vehicle supersonic.
셰프소닉,
That
네,
call up there tells us that the vehicle is traveling
맥스
faster
Q
than the speed of sound.
도달합니다.
Max Q.
And there's that call out for max Q. Again, that's when the rocket experiences the greatest amount of external stresses.
네, 그 이거 동부 시간으로 오후 10시 41분 10초에 발사됐다. 여기 나오고
Now
있고요.
we're less than a minute away from a series of events that will happen in quick succession. Main engine cutoff, stage separation,
네, 지금
second
맥스 Q는
engine start
지났고
1,
이제
and
메인 엔진
fairing
컷오프.
separation. Main engine cutoff, or MECO, as it's written on that timeline there at the bottom of your screen. That's where all 9 Merlin 1D engines on that first stage will shut down.
네, 지금 올라가고 있죠.
Next will be stage separation, and that's when, as the name suggests, the first and second stages will separate. SES1, or second engine start 1, is where we will light the Merlin vacuum engine on that second stage. And fairing separation is when those two fairing halves will separate and fall away from the second stage. Coming up now to main engine cutoff.
자, 메인 엔진 컷오프. 자, 첫 번째 엔진이 자 이제 정지가 됩니다.
Stage separation confirmed.
네, 일단 분리됐고요. 아, 이번에 이제 발사되는 게 참 기록을 좀 살펴보면요.
As you just saw and heard over the nets, we had successful main engine cutoff, stage separation, and SES1. We're now coming up on fairing separation from the second stage in just a few seconds.
오늘 발사되는
That is
게
the first stage extending the grid fins on the left-hand side of your screen, and second stage on the right.
Fairing separation confirmed.
네, 탭 페어링. 자, 지금 보이고 있죠? 분리가 됐습니다.
Beautiful view of those two fairing halves separating and
그리고
falling
내일도
away
발사가
from the
있어요.
second stage,
내일은 스타링크
exposing
그룹
our stack
6-20
of
발사
Starlink
있습니다.
satellites. We will be
내일은
attempting to recover both fairing halves using our recovery vessel Doug.
잠깐만,
Both of the
몇 시야
fairing
이게?
halves that supported today's mission are flight
12,
proven,
거의
with
한
one
시쯤
half
되네요,
flying for its
이것도요.
8th time and the
그리고
other
오늘
for
이제
its 10th.
글로나스 러시아 그 위성 항공 시스템 발사가 예정돼 있다.
gorgeous view of the
아이, 그
second stage
목록도 없는데? 아이,
engine, that
그냥
MVAC engine,
그
or
너무한데, 이거?
Merlin vacuum engine. There's one single engine on the second stage. Currently the first stage, not currently on screen, but it is on its way back to Earth toward our drone ship, a short fall of gravitas. And that MVAC engine there, attached to the second stage, is continuing along with its burn, which will last about another 2.5 minutes. Designed and
아, 저거는 볼
manufactured by
때마다 멋있긴.
SpaceX, Starlink is the world's largest satellite internet constellation.
뭐야?
Starlink satellites
분명
operate
들렸지.
in low Earth orbit,
이거
which
끝나는
enables
음악
the
들렸어요?
delivery of high-speed, low-latency internet to people living
아,
in
이거
remote
뭐야?
and rural locations around the globe.
아, 이거 정말 웃기네, 이거. 안 끝났는데 이제 끝난 줄 알고 지금 뭐 소리를 지금 키려고 했나 봐요. 와, 이런 실수를. 하긴 뭐 높게 관련 실수는 아니니까 뭐 상관없는데.
Acquisition of signal, Bermuda.
뭐지?
Vehicle's on a nominal trajectory.
중력 부재. 숏 오브 더 오브 그래비티. 여기도 이제 착륙할 예정이에요.
Everything continues to look good for both the first and second stages. Live
네,
views of that
발사 잘
second stage
됐습니다.
on your screen now. As I mentioned earlier, today's Starlink mission marks SpaceX's 53rd mission just this year and 252nd mission overall. Coming up in about 30 seconds, we will have entry burn,
사실 오늘
for
그
the
뉴스가
first
좀 많이
stage,
있었거든요.
which is the first of 2 burns that stage will execute in preparation for landing. Right now, the first stage is steering itself back to Earth. We're targeting a landing on our drone ship, a short fall of gravitas.
자, 이제
Stage one
착륙하죠.
NCS
이제요. 엔트리번에 지금 점화가 됐고요.
Entry burn startup.
There's the call out for stage 1 entry burn, which you can see there on the left-hand side of your screen. Stage 1, which we also call the booster, has now ignited engines 1, 5, and 9.
Stage 1 entry burn shut down.
It has now
엔트리번
shut off engines 1, 5,
셧다운
and 9,
됐고요.
and that maneuver allowed it to
Stage 2 FTS has saved.
slow the vehicle down for atmospheric reentry. Pretty cool view of the grid fins there on the left-hand side of your screen. Those actually measure 4 feet by 5 feet, and they're one of the largest cast titanium
어째
structures
근데 그
in
기록이
the
없대요.
world.
어떤 데 이거 오늘 발사하는 기록도 없네요. 아예 그냥 없어요. 어디 갔지?
Stage 2 is on a nominal trajectory.
실수한 것 같은데. 갤럭시 8 아니 그 스타링크 6-8 발사해 기록이 있어야 되는데.
Stage 1 transonic.
That call out there tells us that the first stage is transonic, meaning it is traveling near the speed of sound. The next milestone we have coming up is landing of the first stage. That will be the final burn that the first stage performs, and it will attempt to make a soft landing on our drone ship.
Stage 1
네,
landing
이제
burn.
거의 이제 랜딩
There we can see
직전입니다.
that landing burn has begun. In preparation for touchdown on our drone ship, a short fall of gravitas.
한번 기록을 한번 살펴봐야 될 것 같은데.
Landing leg deploy.
자, 랜딩. 예, 드론십의 착륙에 성공했습니다. 완벽하죠?
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
Beautiful backlit view of that first stage.
관심이 없는가? 박수 소리도 안 들려.
Falcon 9 first stage has now successfully
빨리 끝나니까,
launched
이건
and
하다가.
landed for the 4th time. One of
loss of signal, Cape.
the younger rockets in our fleet. Now coming up on second engine cutoff.
엔진이 원 컴플릿 됐고요. 근데 뭐 말이야?
Heard confirmation of
Nominal orbit insertion.
great timing. We heard the confirmation of second engine cutoff followed by nominal orbital insertion. So now that we know,
Expected loss of signal, Bermuda.
so great news there with that confirmation of good orbit. Today's landing marks our 214th overall landing of an orbital class rocket, including Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy missions. And with confirmation of successful first stage landing
끝났어요,
and
이제.
second engine cutoff and good orbit, that will wrap up our coverage for now. Be sure to check our social media for confirmation of Starlink deployment. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
끝났어요. 네, 다음에 뵙겠습니다.